Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live chat. I appreciate it. Today, as you can see by the title name, we're going to be continuing on with the recent breaking news of the Dylan Rounds case. And I want to look at it from the point of view perspective of Lance Kelly from Earthworm Infotainment. Okay? I've compiled bullet points in brief to summarize what was said in Lance Kelly's recent live stream video. And I'm not talking about the latest one. I'm talking about the one just before it, which was like a couple of days ago, okay? The latest one I've not looked at, but I saw it was titled, "He is stalking us," or "Is he stalking us?" ? I'm not quite sure what that's about. I'll try and have a look at it someday. I know some people will say, oh, it might not be worth watching or it might be lies, but I need to listen to it myself, okay, regardless of what some other people think. And then if it needs to be covered or if I need to give my opinion, then I'll do so if it's related to the Dylan Rounds case. If not, then I don't really need to talk about it, okay? So I just wanted to let you know about that just in case you haven't watched it. As we do go along in this video, feel free to share your thoughts, opinions, reactions in the live chat and talk about a range of other stuff, as well as maintain some level of focus as we go along, like how we've done recently. Also, before we continue any further, you would have noticed I'm wearing the red robe, double layered as well, with the owls as well. And you might be wondering, how's that possible? You know, how? Well, it can be all explained in my previous short video. Make sure to check that out, as well as make sure to check out my previous Dylan Rounds interesting video I covered. All those links will be down below in the pinned comment section. You can watch them if you want to after watching this video, okay? And also, what we need to take a look at today, and it probably ties in with some of these key bullet points, is to do with a backhoe which had some kind of blood on it, upon it, inside of it, or underneath it, okay? Briefly touched upon it, I think, in previous videos, more so maybe in the live chat. So we can gather all the discussion points, all the focus on this latest talk, okay? And see where we can go from there. If there's any contradictions that need to be highlighted, I'll try and do so. Any lies, point them out. But, you know, if you've got the likes of Ty Corbin, maybe the Shaq lady who's present here tonight, that will be useful. Maybe Ty Corbin can give his point of view, whether he agrees with what's been said recently by Lance, yes or no, okay? I know Ty Corbin left a comment recently on one of my videos saying that Lance is known to lie quite a bit. I wouldn't know too much because I don't follow Lance closely and I'm focusing elsewhere, more on the Dylan Rounds case. So I can't pick up on everything, but I'm sure some of you may be able to do that, okay? So yeah, there's a range of stuff we need to focus on today, which is all good. What we'll do to begin with, just whilst we wait for people to come on in and join, maybe to tie up any loose ends, answer any questions, any key points, any new evidence, any new updates, we're going to check back at my previous video and just read through some of the comments, okay? Seems to be a level of depth to them with the space of time in between, people being able to comment on them, right? So we'll do that first. Then we'll move on to analysing what Lance Kelly had to say recently, then move on to a closer focus to the backhoe with blood and the odd few photos just to compare and contrast. That's the order we're going to follow. Make sure to stick around so we can get to all these key points, okay? Let's head on over to the previous comments first of all. Here we are. So I'm going to arrange it from newest comments. Start from the bottom, work our way up, okay? First few comments by Kathy Waters, lol. Kathy Waters stated, "You just lost a subscriber." Wait, Kathy Waters is no longer a subscriber? No. No, this can't be true. No, what? What? No, Kathy Waters. No, how could you do this? Oh my God, how am I going to be able to cope anymore, Kathy Waters, without the talking parrot? No, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the bird. Oh no, oh my God. I'm sure we can work things out. Yeah, I'm sure we can work things out, man. Just don't worry, Kathy Waters. You know, doesn't matter wherever you go, this flat end voice follows your journey really fine. I'm sure you're trying to create some conspiracies, but come on, just type in uppercase capital letters and it'll be fine. But no, this is such sad news. I feel many tears coming out from my eyes like Niagara Falls. It's such a shame. Like, oh my God, I need all my stepmoms in the chat right now to comfort me at great needs, because this has really knocked me back. I need some cookies, I need some milk, and I need some reassurance that everything's going to be okay, because I really am lacking hope and confidence at this moment in time. Oh my God. Anyway, moving on. We've got a comment by Nikki, also known as Nikki. I guess so. And what did they say? You need to find another case to cover now. Oh, a little bit dominant there. Excuse me. You need to find another case. Well, I don't need to, because I'm doing okay covering what I'm covering. Kind of like a concept of you finish what you started, and if there's time in between, you return back to previous ones. That's the way I see it. Understandably, you've got Aidan Clune in the background and some others, but as I've described, I lock on to one thing and I just do one thing at a time. It just works for me. It may not for others, hence why they mix and match all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, under control, Nikki. Right. Long Larry. Okay, interesting name. Shout out to Long Larry, I guess is a new viewer. Canada's Bistanfed is victims to pigs. Oh, wait. Oh, I thought you were talking in Spanish then. What? Candice? Piston? Oh, I don't understand that. Wrangle, as always, stylish and tasteful without all those noisy groups with silly avatars and rude trash talking. Shout out to Wrangle Inhabitant. They're a good person. Silly avatars. I mean, some people have some dodgy avatars. I mean, I think the pattern, what I've noticed within the Dylan Rounds case, certain amount of people come on in, they've got to have the head half tilted with the half of the chest showing, and then that seems to be like the default starter pack on YouTube True Crime, from the looks of it. What else do we have? Wrangle says, it would be real Tarantino's humour if Brenner, in despair, wouldn't remember in which of the splits he had buried the poor Dylan boy. Splits what? The ground? Yeah. Z, you were asleep? Says, I think the whole story isn't out yet. Kurt is involved in this somehow, I think. Okay, fair enough. You know, other people have been saying in recent time, this is probably just the tip of the iceberg. There's probably more material, more stuff to come, but it can't be released at this moment. You never know, because, like, this is the thing. Okay, sure, the case has dragged on for so long, 9 months, and yet still, to this day, they've managed to find new evidence along the way. So, not all hope is lost, right? We've got Patsy. I think this is referring to previous videos or other channels' videos. October 14th, East Idaho News video, 1:27 to 7:04. Discussion about Dylan's phone. 4:17, Justin says Dylan called Grandma and then called Brenner. 5:44, Candy states she cloned the phone and there was nothing unusual on the phone. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Dylan may have been in a hurry due to the rain and maybe pissed Brenner off. Was Candice covering up the fact that there was something on the phone, just like with the key fob and finding the phone? Good point, Patsy. You never know, that could be the case. if Candice Cooley in the past lied, but because she had to for like legal reasons and the case in general with the key fob, which was understandable, then maybe the same happened with the phone. If that wasn't the case, it kind of still is understandable, because maybe you had to look deeper. You had to access files which the family couldn't access due to limited resources, but the police could, and that's how they found that video. Has it got anything to do with iCloud? You never know. I'm sure the Shack lady said you don't have to rely on iCloud to get a hold of deleted videos or photos. I'm not sure if the Shack lady's comment is on this video, but we'll see if it pops up. No talk of Brenna being a family friend, but I remember that being said early on ties in with Brenna lived on the family property. Okay. Yeah, maybe I heard that at one point, the way it was worded. So shout out to Patsy once again. She's a good person. We got Robert Berger. Redaction equals none of your business. Okay. I guess he's just giving a definition of that. We got John Carter. Shout out to John, new viewer. I will admit you stayed the course and are admired for it. Good job, my friend. So I appreciate that. Okay. We got David, or David. That time-lapse video was Dylan's last fuck you to Brenna. Bravo, mate. Yeah, it could well be the case that, right? I mean, it's kind of split. Either Brenna did it accidentally or on purpose, or it was Dylan. I think more people want it to be that Dylan was the one that recorded it, so Dylan at least had the final word, or, the final say in the case, if you want to call it that, for how it sways in the end with that key bit of evidence. Have I picked a side yet? Not really. I'm still kind of like in the middle of it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter too much. The main thing is video's been retrieved, it's got evidence on, links Brenna to Dylan even more, reinforces it, so that's a positive. We can do a poll right now on the spot, and feel free to vote, choose which one you believe. Do you think it was Brenna who started the video recording on Dylan Round's phone, or do you think it was Dylan Rounds himself? I can't remember if I did a poll similar to this previous, but there's no harm in doing it again. Maybe I worded it differently back then. So David, a new viewer, I think. We've got Hiker X. Why are they saying a time-lapse video and a screenshot? I've taken thousands of screenshots of video footage, and it takes turning on the video feature and then taking a screenshot during the video, or stopping it and taking the screenshot. This can't be done by someone with both hands used to clean a gun. Is that how it was worded in one of a couple of articles or something? Why are they saying a time-lapse video and a screenshot? Unless they mean that they were playing the time-lapse video and maybe it was sped up. Well, it must be for it to be like a time-lapse video. And they saw it flick on, or flick to the point of Brenna doing whatever for how long, I don't know. And then the police said, oh, did you just catch that? Quick, rewind it back, pause it at that specific frame. They paused it and then took a screenshot, so then they could look at it as a still photo, zoom on in, and just like have a look. Kind of like what I have done with my videos, where it be of the grain shed, the dirt mound. It's from a video on YouTube such as Glorindellen or Salty Pancakes, but I basically just took a still screenshot from that video and then just analysed. Maybe that's what the police did with this time-lapse video. Okay. Raided Team, shout out to Raided Team. I remember them on Instagram previous, saying, I would look for remains around the Sun Tunnels or Third Ridge. What do you mean by Third Ridge? Is that the name of a place or like a description of an area nearby? Let me know. Sun Tunnels. I mean, it probably is unlikely, just in my opinion, simply because it's more of a tourist attraction, right? You get people coming and going there, visiting, maybe with dogs as well, and maybe disturbance to the ground maybe down the line someone could pick up on it, come across it. So you really want to be doing it in quiet areas where people aren't going to visit, and areas where people aren't already at whilst you're disposing of whatever. Yeah. Indiana. I wonder if Dylan's phone could have been left sitting on the dashboard of his truck or the grain truck, even being charged from there, with Brenner picking it up after the event. That could be a possibility. I guess it all just comes down to where was Brenner when he was cleaning the gun and had blood on his arms. Was he on the grain shed property or at the pond? Because that's what a couple of people seem to think. That could definitely help explain it. And then, of course, you might get an idea if it was in the truck, because you might see literally the window of the truck, where it might look a bit cracked or a little bit dirtied. Because like even when you do have a phone pointing through a window, sometimes it gives it away, like you're looking through a window just because of the glass and maybe the reflection. So we're not to know at this moment in time. Maybe we might find out down the line, possibly, But you can leave your thoughts down below to what you think, where it was the actual phone at the time. Was it picked up, then placed down? Was it dropped onto the floor, resting in the truck? If it was in a truck, of course, it would have to be the grain truck, I would say, because that's the truck Dylan was supposedly driving to the grain shed, right? Yeah. Move on. Christy B. As a mother, I know that you can't protect your children forever. You can only try to raise them strong enough to face the world and the evil they will for sure encounter during their life. When tragedy hits, the worst thing you have to face as a parent is the guilt you feel for not having been able to protect them enough. Even if they are already grown up, the burden of parents surviving their children is unimaginably heavy. Rest in peace. We got Bob once again. Bob Farrell. Very sad day, but yet a good sad day. I hope they give him the death sentencing. He doesn't have any rights to live. None. Well, what I would say is, for the most justice, it's probably best avoiding the death penalty, but maybe threatened with it in hopes he at least confesses, right? It's like one of those things where any place, anytime, anywhere, you come across someone and they do bad stuff to you or like to family, you want that individual to suffer as much as possible. If they die on the spot like that, it's over and done with. It's the easy way out. It's all about dragging things out, really straining and draining them, right? Psychologically, physically. Just like when it comes to torture methods, it's not about killing the person. It's just about inflicting as much pain and suffering so they finally break, crack, confess. Now, is that going to be used against Brenner? Probably not. I don't think so. It's not to that level, is it? It's not like CIA interrogation. Though, if Brenner was a walking man, do you think, let me know your thoughts, do you think anyone would try and kidnap him and then make him confess, force him to? Do you think that's a possibility? Would there be more success there than elsewhere? I want to know, because there's been the odd kidnapping in Montello, right, in the past. There's even some videos on YouTube titled Montello Kidnapping Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. And the guy who's recording it, supposedly Ron Tello or something. Don't know what that's all about. Didn't really look too deep into it, but I've heard about it roughly. And I'm sure on Quinton's timeline there was like a kidnapping in 2021 or so. So if that type of stuff happens, then it may have happened to Brenner if he was walking free. Some kind of vigilantes out there maybe wanting to either defend their own name, defend Dylan's name, just to get Brenner to confess. You never know. Jacqueline says, yes, I think it was Dylan's gun that Brenner killed him with and is cleaning it in that time-stamped video. When Dylan's gun turned up in his trailer, there was no DNA or fingerprints on it. Yep, good point. I had that idea as well. I would have been interested in seeing the footage or a still photo of Brenner cleaning the gun. Where is he standing? What is behind him? Just curious. Yeah, it could definitely explain a lot. Is it 100% guaranteed, or maybe not, because it depends exactly what position or angle the phone's in. But you definitely have more chance of trying to understand it if you could see it visually. But I think because it's to do with the blood factor as well, they probably just use that as an excuse to why they can't share it with the general public. I mean, just at least in my mindset, I'm not expecting to see it, you know? It just doesn't feel like I'd be in a position to view it. Just one of those things. Maybe someone might get a hold of it down the line. Jacqueline also says, I don't think there would be time to mix the bones of Dylan with a range of other bones. Stupid as Bren is supposed to be, I can't see him doing that. Yeah. That was more to do with in response to like when we were talking briefly about Lance Kelly and the bagging bones being reignited, like from what he was talking about. Yeah. Clear Playful Witch, shout out to Clee. Okay, here we go. Now, just a bit of backstory to this comment by Indiana. I just asked, is it to do with the recent live stream of Pancakes talking with Kurt? And Indiana said, it's a summary of Kurt all over. So I guess from start, beginning to recent time, and summarised. Let's see what Indiana says. Speculation warning. Kurt. After listening to him on the news of Brenner's arrest, I was surprised by his reactions. Brenner, it seems, is not guilty according to Kurt. So why is Brenner not guilty? Well, according to Kurt, because about 30 psychics have told him so. Strange. I have yet to find one. All the so-called psychics I have seen say Brenner is guilty. Okay, so Kurt supposedly thinks Brenner is innocent. I mean, that really does make things sound a bit dodgy. And, you know, if there is actual evidence that incriminates someone like Brenner, and there's more evidence which proves he's responsible, then how can you go against that and say, you know, it's all lies? Unless you're just very biased and you're very supportive, you're very delusional, and that's why you're protecting Brenner in that sense. Yeah. And as for these psychics, where are these psychics at? The ones Kurt Wadsworth have listened to. Does he listen to psychic readings online, or is it people in Montello? Weezer, do you know? I've seen some psychics on YouTube, but they've been from the US, but not from the same state or closeness, right? Anything else here? Dylan's DNA was found under the shovel of Kurt's backhoe that was at Dylan's farm 5 miles away. After Ellie took the backhoe from Dylan's farm, why did it end up being left on return at the grain store? Did Ellie leave it there by mistake or no mistake, as according to Kurt? We have different stories. Ellie left it at the grain store and let down its tires. Another time, Kurt says Ed asked him to move it down to the grain store as Ed had work to do there, and it was Justin who shot the tires out. So which is true? It's good what Indiana has done here. She's mentioned both sides of the story at different points in time, right? This is very good. Yeah, it can be confusing, but it's all on screen right now. I mean, I don't know if it's necessary to play the clip today. Maybe I can do a bit later on when we do start looking at the backhoe a bit closer. But recently, if you remember that Glorindale footage from back in the past months ago when they were at the grain shed and they were near to the backhoe, and then that guy, the bald one with the beard and the blue shirt, was basically talking about how the backhoe of Kurt's was originally at Dylan's farm, but then brought near to the grain shed, moved over because there was work that needed to be done. What exactly? I'm not quite sure. But you could tell that it looks like the backhoe had been used because of the mud on it as well. So yeah. As for Justin shooting out the tyres or tyre, because it looks like only one tyre was shot out, don't know if that's exactly true. When I did look at the tyre in the past, I couldn't see any bullet holes in it, but I guess it depends what angle. Maybe it didn't show in the footage quite clearly. If that wasn't the case, and it was the alternative, that it was the LE that brought it back, yeah, that'd be a bit weird, that, to be honest. But like, if the LE did it on purpose, left it out there, what would be their motive? What would be the point of it? Was it to see if anyone else touches it in between? See if it incriminates anyone else? If anyone tries disposing of it, hiding it, moving it, maybe. If it was the LE doing it for dodgy reasons, being suspicious, helping a criminal out, then why have the LE been a bit more proactive in recent time, like with that video footage, and being able to successfully press those charges on Brenner for murder, you know? So it's trying to understand that. Also, says Kurt is adamant even now that no one could operate his backhoe. I'm not sure if this is actually true. Both Don and Brenner have worked in construction as others. So why the emphasis that he is the only one? If any of you have listened to Kurt from the beginning, would any of you think that bit by bit that Kurt is somehow hanging himself here? I wonder. So yeah, it was interesting summary that by Indiana. I don't know if things are going the way they are because, like, as reported by certain locals, Kurt is starting to lose his mind or lose control, developing a temper over time, maybe. Will it ease off? I don't know. Will it escalate? I guess time will tell, right? But yeah, Kurt has been in the picture quite a lot. I mean, let's just be realistic, like right now, okay? A lot of people call out Ty Corbin for sticking his beak in the case. People call out Ty Corbin for lying, spreading a lot of misinformation, causing the misinformation, just talking over and over again, appearing on all these different channels, call-ins, live panels. He's always got something to say. That's basically what, you know, maybe a fair few people have said from time to time towards Ty. Maybe it's people on Salty Pancakes channel, maybe, and further afar. But, you know, whilst you can call Ty Corbin out, what about Kurt Wadsworth, right? You can't just all be focusing on Ty. You can't just, like, cause a witch hunt on Ty Corbin, because what about Kurt Wadsworth? Hasn't Kurt spoken a lot, said a lot of stuff, switched and changed with information quite a bit, appeared on all different panels, channels and call-ins, interviews, live streams? You know, he's played a big role as well. And, you know, to an extent, how significant is Kurt Wadsworth in the Dylan Rounds case? I can't quite rate it, but I'd probably say he somewhat links somewhere within because he's been in the presence of Dylan. He kind of knows Dylan, right? And Dylan was in the area last seen in Montello at the time where Kurt was. So, yeah, there's a level of significance there. What about Ty Corbin, though? Well, Ty Corbin doesn't really link to Dylan, right? But Ty supposedly knows of previous past events which have gone on from time to time, which could have fueled or somehow linked to Dylan's disappearance, I guess. More so, Ty's been the one trying to find Dylan, supposedly, right? I mean, from what you can, like, see visually, it looks as if there's been more effort put into finding Dylan, as in Ty Corbin searching, in contrast to Kurt Wadsworth, who, from what I know of at least, from what I've not really seen much of, if not anything, Kurt searching about. It seems like Ty's done more searching than Kurt, but Kurt links more to Dylan than Ty does, as for the case. Does that make sense to you? So, really, if you're going to call one person out, you might as well call the other two. Or, if you're going to, for some reason, praise someone or like acknowledge that they do play a role in the case, whether it be post Dylan's disappearance or leading up to it, then you might as well acknowledge it for both individuals, right? Okay, they're from kind of like the same area, or, well, living in the same area, but they've got different backstories, different encounters, differing knowledge, maybe. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, more about the backhoe later on in this video as we do look closer at it. Let me just back out of that. There we go. What other comments do we have? Here we go. Shack Lady. This is the Shack Lady's comment. Let's see what she's got to say. Hello, Ref. Even if the video did not make it to the cloud, it is possible to retrieve deleted videos and messages, as well as emails. Our phones are little computers, and there's a couple of backdoors that can be used to retrieve it. I honestly think Brenner, if he was the one who had deleted the video, then being older, he wouldn't think about that. He had a flip phone, I believe I heard. Not all older people care to get too savvy in the tech world. Okay, so like the way I envision it is that it all comes down to at what point did the video end? How long was the video to begin with? And what point did the video end? Did it just end abruptly? Maybe the phone ran out of storage space, so it could no longer record any more footage, maybe. Or maybe the phone died, low battery, so it shut down, video stops recording, possibly. Or could it have shown Brenner looking at the camera and realising, oh, or maybe when he picked it up, he might have muttered and said, oh, damn, it's been recording all this time. And then he stops the video recording, and that's why the video ends there. And then maybe he goes into the gallery to delete it that way. Is it difficult to do? Not really. You know, like if you've recorded videos before and you've taken photos and you've deleted them afterwards, it'll become like a simple, regular thing to do. So if it comes down to iCloud, I don't think Brenner probably would be aware of iCloud or whether Dylan has it on or not, or whether the video has been automatically saved to the iCloud. I don't think Brenner would be thinking that far ahead, right? The only other possibility is maybe the video recording stopped upon impact to the water when it went into Lucin Pond due to water damage, phone malfunctioning, shutting down, maybe something's being corrupted, video as well, but it was retrievable afterwards. You get what I'm saying? So that's the biggest factor and question. The actual video itself. At what point did it end? And did it give anything away to how it ended, the video recording? Let me know your thoughts. We could, do you know what? We might as well do a second poll right now because it links on from the first one of who was the one to start the video recording. Who do you think was the one to end the video recording? Was it Brenner? Was it the pond? Impact upon going into the pond, being chucked in there? Or was it more natural, technical, the phone dying of battery, running out of storage? You know, a couple of different options to vote from. Try and reword it maybe a bit clearer in the poll. And make sure to vote. It'll be interesting to see what people think. Okay, let's continue reading. Shack Lady says, if Candice said there was nothing on the phone, then it could be possible she didn't know the video existed at all. She did state she knew of some things, but not everything. She also, I believe, stated in paraphrasing that she was expecting the charges, but was also not aware of what else they would share. Maybe I'm wrong and she did know it, but kept silent, which I would not be surprised. She wants the person held accountable and justice for her son. I know she wanted him home more than anything. Yeah, so it could be like worded kind of like as what Patsy said, I think it was her early on, where maybe Candice Cooley was going against it, playing dumb because she had to for the case, so it remains okay. Or she just didn't know because the police may not tell her everything, right? Maybe at a later point, though. There is that. But the key thing is, footage been found, retrieved. That's really all that matters. Chat Lady also says, but a lot of people don't back up phones nor send things to the cloud, even locations off. Apps help when this occurs, but I know in an iPhone you can shut all data info on apps if you're not using any of them. I mean, I probably got the odd thing turned off, and so I don't know about Dylan Rounds, what it'd be like for him. But, weren't we talking previous in the past that Dylan must have had some apps or something turned on for those phone pings to appear, dotted on the maps as we've seen, whether it be the weather app or some other one, I don't know, like social media maybe, or just like another tool which requires maybe location to be turned on. I'm glad he was charged and anticipate the video in the trial. It's possible, I know, on my phone, if you drop it, it can click over to picture to take. I've accidentally done this several times, finding my camera was on when I never hit it on. I think if he was solo, that could have happened. The key word is the FBI did a forensics data download. That's important. This means they retrieved a lot more than what was in the eye view of cloning it. So like a deeper dive. I also wish his charges listed as intentional because of his claimed comments of wanting to kill Dylan by Bibbins, capital or something too. Yeah, about that. The claim by Bibbins. Is that really true? Does anyone agree? Weezer, do you agree with this statement? I mean, I did hear about it in that Heavy D interview, the last one, which was months ago now, inside of the grain shed with Candice Cooley and Justin Rounds. And it was Justin that pointed it out, saying how Bibbins told Justin at some point in the past about Bibbins overhearing Brenner saying, "Oh, I'm going to kill Dylan someday." That's what was said. But Candice Cooley, it was as if she wasn't hearing none of it. She brushed it off and said, yeah, well, no, is it really true? That's what she was kind of like. And then Justin kind of shrugged it off as well. Interesting moment that was. Does anyone else agree? Tom, what do you think? Yeah. So, claimed comments of wanting to kill Dylan by Bibbins. I don't know how true it is, though. Could be more rumours. We got Demon Tech 06. Shout out to them. New viewer. What did they say? Did anyone think the phone video started before Dylan showed up at Brenner's place? Dylan could have started that phone video when he went to go see Brenner. Brenner knew Dylan was on his way, if I remember right. There was a phone call made to Brenner in regards to a locked gate, but Brenner did not answer. No one really knows where the phone video took place, but the phone could have been in Dylan's shirt or front jacket pocket. Yeah, possibly. I guess it all depends as well. The angle, was it horizontal or vertical? Was it portrait or landscape? If it was portrait, then most likely it was in a pocket, like a front pocket, let's say, as the camera's sticking out above the pocket. If it was landscape, either on the floor, propped up, or sideways in trouser pocket, right? But, if it's portrait, probably in the front pocket of a t-shirt. But I don't know if Dylan had pockets on his shirts. Does anyone know? Anyway, let's see. There was a phone. Okay. Yeah. Could have been, yeah. I'm just trying to catch where I read it. I've seen everything. Dylan could have been sitting down when or if he was shot and killed. If Dylan was shot whilst he was sitting, then his body movements after death could have been limited to spatial conflicts. After a shot was fired at Dylan, he could have slumped forwards. Then Brenner could have repositioned his body to stay upright. and would explain the blood stains on Brenner's shirt. After the repositioning of the body, Brenner started cleaning the gun in view of the camera that was still on. Maybe. This case has way too many questions. Keep in mind that Brenner is nearly 60 years old, and hauling around a 160-pound corpse might have been difficult for him to do alone. Everything I listed is purely speculation, but it does possibly answer the cell video. I absolutely admire the parents for not giving up. An aggravated murder, one charge is going to be a difficult conviction to get without a body. No one knows exactly what happened to Dylan. The desecration charge is based solely on strong circumstantial evidence and is just about a guaranteed conviction. I said before that I really can see Brenner pleading down to a lesser charge in exchange for an admission of guilt and Dylan's whereabouts. Again, it's just speculation, so don't get offended if it contradicts certain views with the case. So, yeah, the way this person's worded the comment was done quite well. It's quite clear to understand. I mean, as for Brenner having blood on his sleeves and it's of Dylan's, I mean, how could that really have happened? Like, there's different ways. Kind of like how this person worded it themselves, like kind of like propping him up. Or maybe if Brenner shot at Dylan and there was blood splatter. I guess it depends the force, the impact of the bullet hitting Dylan, right? I mean, if it was a shotgun, you can imagine, but is it going to splash towards you or is it going to splash the other way as the bullet goes through? I mean, if it is to do with a shooting, then what about potential bullet holes? Like, where are the bullet holes? In the grain shed? Near a barrel? Remember when I was pointing out those holes in the ceiling or the side of a wall? Did that have anything to do with it? Does anyone know? Does anyone agree? Another possibility is maybe if Brenner shot Dylan from the back or from the front, depending, and then Dylan fell forwards or fell backwards into the arms of Brenner, and then blood smeared on Brenner's sleeve, maybe? Is that a possibility, you think? As for the video recording, if it was started earlier on, before Dylan even confronted Brenner, it just seems as if, it actually feels as if that was the case, then it seems like Dylan was prepared to die. You get what I'm saying? Like, if you think you need your phone to record something for your own safety, but you're away from it to begin with, then why go into that environment with the phone when you don't really have to? If it's deciding whether you sacrifice your seed, which costs like $5,000, or you sacrifice your life, which one are you going to choose? You know what I'm saying? Like, if Dylan felt like he was in danger, then why would he go to confront Brenner with the phone recording, right? And if that wasn't the case, if Dylan didn't feel like he was in danger in the presence of Brenner, then why did he need to record? You know, why would he need to record? Like, be prepared for that? And has Dylan been known to do this in the past? Because if Dylan's got into arguments and confrontations with people back then, did Dylan ever pull out his phone and start recording? Because if he didn't then why has he done so now? And if it's because he feels more alert, more aware, what's caused that? And if things have got more tense now, then it does seem a little bit more dangerous. And if it seems a little bit more dangerous, then why are you putting yourself in that position to appear on site in the presence of Brenner when it could go wrong? Like, if you feel like you need an item for protection against someone, but you're not having to be in that area, you're not forced to, then why not just leave the place or call a parent or call the police? You know what I'm saying? Okay, Dylan's passionate about farming and, you know, he was obviously passionate about getting his grain truck inside of the grain shed so the seed wouldn't be spoilt, but, you know, that isn't as important. Protecting your life, at least maybe for him, is. Okay? So it all depends how you look at it. right? Based on the situation. Like, there is a possibility that maybe Dylan did start recording, but not like in advance. Maybe when Dylan started talking to Brenner, or Brenner may have had the gun already in his hand, or Dylan saw something of danger, then he thought, well, I can't run right now, because if I run, I'm probably a dead man. So what else can I do in this like hostage situation? You know what I'm saying? You know, like when you get hostage situations, kind of like what you might see in films or TV shows. Often the person doesn't run away because they can't, and they know they've not got a chance, but they might secretly pull out the phone. They might secretly call someone or call the police, dial them silently, put it on speaker mode, or they might just play an audio recording if they're in a situation where they need a confession out of the person. You know, that type of stuff. And it was like a sudden heat of the moment, sudden change in the atmosphere where Dylan thought, oh, this ain't too good. I need to get my phone out just in case. That's the way I see it. If Dylan's the one responsible for starting the video recording, it was probably an on-the-spot decision and not planned. Because if it was planned, it makes no sense putting yourself in a dangerous situation when you've got a choice, okay? And finally, last comment by Just Jen. Shout out to Jen. I believe she's a new viewer, so that's good. Saying there's 2 backhoes. Now, to some of you, you might be thinking, 2 backhoes? What? I've never heard of that before. Well, for most part of it, me neither. I've never really heard about it. But we're going to get more into it, literally right now, okay? So let's move on. So before we continue, I just wanted to point out, welcome if you're currently watching right now, or if you've just joined. If you want to rewind back to catch up, feel free to do so. Or if you want to do it later, you can do that too. What we're moving on to now, one of the main focuses, the main point of this video is analysing and summarising and trying to understand from the point of view of Lance Kelly in one of his recent newest live streams in response to the Dylan Rounds breaking news, what we've heard of in recent time, okay? So let's begin. Let's get right into it. If you notice any lies, contradictions by Lance or someone else, feel free to list it down below. If Ty Corbin is here, feel free to give your thoughts and opinions and reactions as well, okay? So, Lance basically started it off saying how he wants to continue searching, looking for Dylan, regardless. He wants to continue on and be consistent, which I guess is understandable. You know, he's done it for a fair bit of time now. He might as well carry on, I guess, or at least what would be going on in his mindset, because I know not everyone will be in agreement or will be pleased to hear about that, okay? But yeah, the next point mentioned was he was given his thoughts about the time lapse, okay, of which was found by Ellie and which we've heard about when the FBI did that deep forensic search on the phone. And Lance was saying it was probably a time-lapse photo, not a video. It might have been what I briefly touched upon when I was talking about an alternative way, where you can like take photos, a fair few of them, and then it gets pieced together and then you see the change throughout, but it's not literally recorded as a video. So I can kind of understand that, but you know, if you're going to be taking photos, you got to be taking a photo like every day or maybe every hour. And supposedly what went down, what happened to Dylan, all took place on the 28th, one day. So it wouldn't have been possible to do a photo picture taking time lapse. You get what I'm saying? If it's like a burst of photos, rapid burst photos, if you hold down the record button or if you hold down the photo taking button, hold it down and it will do a burst shot. There's that, but that's still not a time-lapse video. A time-lapse video is a time-lapse video as worded on the camera, you know, selection thing when you drag it across. It's on my phone, as I can see at times, where it says time-lapse, right? On Android, they have their own. When I used Android in the past, it was called Hyperlapse. Same thing, just worded differently. Okay, that's it. So I still think it would have to have been a video in a time lapse and not like photos. I mean, is there a possibility that it could just be a basic video? Maybe. Could it be dodgy American wording, dodgy language? There's still a possibility of that. I mean, at the end of the day, once again, they found some evidence. It shows Brenner. It reinforces points made that he's guilty and responsible mainly. So that's all good. That's a positive. The actual style of video or how it's worded isn't as important for like outsiders trying to understand it. I guess in the short term it is kind of important, but maybe it'll be worded more appropriately down the line, or there'll be a better context, provenance, origins behind it. The style, the format, how long the video was, at what point did the video end, and so on, right? Maybe we get stuck on these points in between just simply because there's only so much you can talk about, right? Which isn't a bad thing. I know some people can say, oh, you're repeating yourself, you're going round and round in circles on meaningless topics or certain points. But to be honest, it's better to be doing that than suddenly making up stuff because you've run out of things to say. You know, there's a big difference there, right? Next point mentioned by Lance. When Lance was talking in his video about his recent searches and past ones where he's been looking at the mountains, I guess like Bald Eagle Mountain, Governor's Spring, you know, those places, with or without Ty Corbyn. And Lance Kelly, in quotes, said, searching in spots where the LE told us to search. I've never heard of that before. All I've heard in the past was Lance saying how he, Ty Corbyn, were in contact with Justin Rounds, Dylan Rounds' father, and Justin basically thanked Lance, thanked Ty for what they were doing, going out there searching. Justin was very appreciative. Now, does that still apply to this day? No clue. Still no update on that. As we know from Candice Cooley's point of view, she's the complete opposite. She doesn't seem to agree at all with what Lance is doing, what Ty's doing independently. She just doesn't agree with it. She, as we've seen clearly in the past by like how she's worded it and how we've analysed. So that's pretty straight to the point. But the bit about the LE, Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, the LE, Box Elder, advising Lance Kelly, advising Ty Corbyn to be searching in the mountain area. Is that really true? Ty Corbyn, have you ever heard of that? Were you present at the time when the LE told you to search there? I mean, you could interpret it as, well, I guess that's a good thing. Lance said in his video that, well, if we've been told to search here or search there, that's where we go and that's where we search, because it's like authority telling us and there must be a reason for it. Yes, there's two different reasons to how you could interpret it, right? And we'll get to that in a second. But linking on with Ty Corbyn, Lance basically said the reason why he stopped participating, searching with Ty Corbyn was because, in quotes, he wanted to search where LE didn't tell us where to search. So basically, Lance was following orders, but Ty Corbyn wasn't, which I guess led to a disagreement, a falling out. Maybe it's more deeper than that, I don't know, but that's what Lance said in the video. Do you agree with that, Ty Corbyn? Is that what happened? Only answer if you want to, if you feel comfortable, okay? I mean, I can kind of understand it two different ways, right? I don't know if this is exactly what Ty Corbyn may have been thinking at the time, if this was the case, but I can understand Lance listens to authority at times because there might be a deeper reason to why. Maybe the LE, maybe in Lance Kelly's mind, he feels that the LE want him to search there because there's a chance that Dylan is actually there. And Lance wants to find Dylan, so Lance will do what's been said and what's been told. But Ty Corbyn might have other ideas, thinking outside of the box, because Ty might have his own set of ideas where Dylan could be at, such as Pigeon Mountain or Little Pigeon Mountain, which is away from it, right? Closer to Dylan's farm, or maybe going to the wash. So disagreements there, falling out. Yeah, I kind of get that. But as well, I don't know if Ty Corbin would agree with this, so I'll just give it in a general point. Have you ever thought that maybe the LE told Lance to search in the mountains was because it's probably an area where Dylan isn't at, but it's a place where Lance can be occupied and keep out from the real investigation? You know what I'm saying? Maybe LE don't want Lance to be in on it, to be able to search, because they don't trust him, or they don't feel it's professional, that it could cause harm to the case. So instead of just shunning him or shutting him down, the police thought, do you know what, you can go over there and explore. You're not going to find anything, but you'll keep yourself entertained, keep yourself busy, and we can get on with the real work. Maybe that's the case. Maybe Ty Corbin catched onto that and thought, they're kind of like messing with us. Right, I'll actually go where I want to go and where I believe Dylan could be at. Because if I believe the police aren't doing enough, or more needs to be done, maybe resources are stretched, then I can help as well. And Lance could be like, no, they told us not to, we can't, no. And then the tension, friction builds, and then communication breaks down from there. Is that a possibility? But yeah, I've never heard it before that the LE advised Lance to go here. You get what I'm saying? The only other thing I've heard was a time in the past, and it was during one of Doug's No Thanks live stream interviews with Candice Cooley. And they were saying how, yeah, they were both aware of the location that needs to be searched, a wash or something, but they gave other searchers false directions or misinformed them, so they would go off and distract themselves and keep away from the real search. And I think Doug was basically talking about Lance Kelly and Ty Corbin, sending them off on a wild goose chase, checking the railroad tracks or something. I'm just trying to remember from memory, so it might be very rough, but it was along that line. So maybe the LE did the same thing. Let me know your thoughts, though. We'll do a poll now. I don't know, is it too soon after the other? I'll set up a possible poll. You can vote in the chat, give your thoughts. If there's time to create an actual poll, I'll do so. But do you feel that, if this was all the case, that the LE told Lance to search in a particular area to keep out, to stay away from the real investigation going on behind the scenes? You think that's the case? Or with the LE being genuine in an actual search spot? Let me know your thoughts down below. Moving on, the next point mentioned, the way Lance Kelly worded this was, there was blood on the backhoe, in quotes, a fact. Heard it from a couple of sources, but can't tell who it's from. Also, Lance saying that there's 2 backhoes on the property, but he can't reveal the name of the person who owns the backhoe which had blood on. Okay, so we're getting into this discussion part now, the important bit. I mean, the way it was worded, fact. Like, just at least from what I've heard, okay? As you've seen, a couple of days ago when I was doing that video where I was looking at all of the articles, the news articles, and the official court documents, the official press release, and not a single point, not a single word referred to the backhoe or blood found on it. It was all about Brenner, it was all about the phone, it was all about desecration, and that was the focus. Nothing about the backhoe. So at least from the official sources, it didn't acknowledge it. So we're talking about third-party sources. What, people who are in on it, people that have received or leaked information, maybe. Have we been in situations like this before in the past? Yeah, probably. Did it turn out that it was true? Sometimes yes, other times no. Sometimes not at the time, but at a later point turned out to be true. So it's a bit messy. I don't want to go all in on it, but we can briefly touch upon it, right, and just get a discussion starting without getting too delusional, okay? The fact that Lance is saying, well, we can't say who's the owner of this, and we can't say where we got the sources from or who these people are that have come out with that information. It's like, why the secrecy? Okay? The official documents, the court documents don't mention it, so is it that important? And because you've somehow received leaked information, you just can't mention it because it could harm the case? Maybe. What's your thoughts, Ty Corbyn? What's your thoughts, Weezer, Ellen Berg? You know, do you know any of this? I mean, I'll say one thing that's interesting from what I can remember, and I have remembered it. I never knew that there was 2 backhoes on the property. And when they say on the property, I assume, what, Dylan's farm or the grain shed, right? If you remember previous, when we were looking at a backhoe, one of them, which supposedly is Kurt's, okay? I was doing it before and after, when it was at Dylan's farm, and then after when it was taken to the grain shed. In recent time, we understood possible backstory behind it. That guy in that blue top, bald head, beard, saying that the landowner ordered for the backhoe to be brought back to the grain shed property because work needed to be done. Okay, turns out that's Kurt Wadsworth's backhoe, because you see Kurt all over it trying to get it starting, complaining about the tools being stolen, as we've seen in that footage by Glorin Dellen, right? So put both together, that makes sense. But in the beginning, when I did that first video back then, just simply comparing it, saying it was once here, it's moved there, Ellen Berg said, that's not Kurt Wadsworth's backhoe. And I was like, what? And when I think of it now, the fact that it is Kurt Wadsworth's backhoe, but she said it wasn't, maybe she was getting confused or slip of the tongue, I don't know. But she was actually referring to the second backhoe, which then could reinforce this secret source. Not that Ellen is the secret source, but some other people are out there that the 2 backhoes are present. Does that make sense to you? Like, it's as if, in short, Ellen Berg in the past acknowledged that there was 2 backhoes. And I've only just heard of it in recent time by what Lance has said. But because of using my memory and linking back to how Ellen Berg vaguely worded it, that that's not Kurt Wadsworth's backhoe. Well, which one is? Oh, the other one on the property. And then that ties in with Lance saying that there's 2 backhoes. Does that make sense? Hopefully I worded it correctly. It's hard to focus at times or at this moment. But is it that important that there's 2 backhoes? Well, yeah, because one supposedly has blood on, the other one doesn't. And it's like, which one's which? Who owns what? Is it one person that owns both, or 2 separate people? That's what I want to know, right? Have I seen a second backhoe? No, because when I've looked at footage, it's either been here or it's been there. The other one hasn't been present, so it makes me believe, was one of them taken away? Can anyone agree with that? Glorin Dellen, if you're present, do you know anything about this? Like, I've just not seen any secondary backhoe at the grain shed property or at Dylan's farm, right? Okay, we might have seen a video way back at the beginning. Then we saw a video down the line, but that could be of the same backhoe. You get what I'm saying? And it kind of ties in with like the descriptions of what we've heard of. So I feel like the second backhoe may have been there at the beginning, but it was taken away. Like if it's got evidence on. And I know Indiana talking about saying how, well, if it was taken to the grain shed and the different theories or the different like rumours there, then why was it left behind? Well, maybe it was left behind because it wasn't the one that had the blood on. The one that had blood on was taken away and it's not been talked about. Maybe they associated that with the desecration of the original burial site. Maybe that backhoe was used for the original burial site, or maybe it was used afterwards to dig Dylan back up and then create another burial elsewhere. You get what I'm saying? So that is interesting. Does it reveal where Dylan is at? Well, not really, but supposedly it's yet more evidence within the case. I guess what it does open up, though, like how roughly quoted by Indiana, that Kurt Wadsworth supposedly saying he's the only one that wields the power controlling this backhoe. Well, does that incriminate him, make him more guilty? That if that's Kurt's backhoe, or if Kurt's the one that can only operate it, then he's the one responsible. Maybe, maybe not. Just all depends on who owns the secondary backhoe. Does Kurt own both, or does he only own one? If that's the case, who owns the other? I mean, regardless of who owns what, someone else could have stolen it or, started using it, right? Just like how Candice Cooley was saying how possibility that Brenner drove Dylan's pickup truck around when maybe disposing of Dylan, hence why it got dirtied and muddied, right? So there's always that possibility that someone took control of the vehicle. Providing the keys are around and you can briefly or roughly operate it, then it is what it is, right? But, just let me know your thoughts down below in the chat to what you think about this. Do you think it's really important? Do you think it's groundbreaking? Do you think it's true? Do you think it's a rumour? Let me know your thoughts, okay? Moving on to the next point. I guess talking about the court dates, 17th of April, Brenner's firearm charge. 24th is for the assault. But then I don't know if it was updated and saying that it was brought back to the 14th, or brought forwards, I should say, to the 14th of April. Maybe the firearm charge one. People will be able to clear it up in the live chat. It's just because Glor and Dylan, I think, may have done an update or so on it. And maybe it was to do with incorporating Dylan as well, the Dylan Rounds case, with those separate charges. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've not looked too much into it because I've just been distracted, okay? Next point mentioned by Lance is that I guess he was just referring back to previous points, giving his opinion, I guess, but the way he was wording it, it didn't sound as opinionated, maybe. Lance saying how Dylan's truck was pressure washed, when, people still contest it to this day and say that maybe it was the rain that, washed the truck down, because, you look underneath the wheels, there is still all that dirt that collected, right? And, if you are, pressure washing a vehicle, you're going to make sure you do a good job and get underneath and stuff. Makes sense. Maybe if you rushed, you might miss out on things, but still, the truck itself did look a little bit messy even afterwards, and a little bit muddied, the trickles, the droplets on the side of the vehicle, where it looks like rain droplets have run down the side and dried up so far down, collecting with some of the dirt. You get what I'm saying? And with what we've heard in recent time, or maybe the last month or so, when we were doing those discussions, that we heard it rained in the early hours of Saturday, and it also rained Sunday, then maybe Dylan's truck was washed that way round. You get what I'm saying? The truck could still have been used, maybe, driven around somewhere, but maybe it wasn't washed down. Though, I guess the only thing to acknowledge, what about the prints? What about the DNA within the pickup truck? I can't remember if they said it was all clean inside, washed down, or that there was a lot of DNA found inside, but it was all by different people. Does anyone know? I definitely remember Candice Cooley saying that when it came to the grain truck, there was a lot of DNA found inside, such as on the steering wheel, by Dylan, by Brenner, by Don Hately, but that's just because a lot of people have operated it over time, so it doesn't really say much, doesn't really incriminate anyone. But what about Dylan's pickup truck, his burgundy Ford F-150? Was it clean inside? If it was completely clean inside, no DNA, not even of Dylan whatsoever, then you could say someone must have cleaned it down, and probably on the outside as well. But if there was prints, then yeah, Well, I've just not heard anything about prints. Like, okay, they talked about prints with Dylan's boots. Brenner, I guess, picking him up at some point. Talking about Dylan's blood on Brenner, so there's that as well. But like the gun, the key fob being cleaned down, no prints on that. Video footage of Brenner supposedly cleaning down a gun, could be the same one. Yeah, links there. So I was trying to understand a pattern. Was Brenner known for cleaning all evidence or some evidence? Seems to be some evidence. But where does the pickup truck of Dylan's fall into that category? Was that cleaned or not? On the outside, some people think it has. Others feel it was just natural rain. But I guess to validate or to come to some kind of conclusion to understand whether it has or not is by questioning, what about the inside of the vehicle? You know, if the vehicle was used, it should reveal DNA evidence. Even if the vehicle wasn't driven anywhere, but someone moved the seat, as we've heard, accidentally turned on all-wheel drive and maybe took the gun from the truck, you know, there must be some kind of handprints within. If not, then someone cleaned it, right? Cleaned it. And probably the outside as well, so you could say it was pressure washed. What's your thoughts on that, okay? Does anyone know about the inside of the pickup truck? Was there any prints, any DNA found inside, or was it completely clean? Let me know if you know, right? Anything else? Yeah, it was poor wording. Just want to say in advance, this was poor wording by Lance. Lance said that Dylan and Brenner's blood were on the boots. That's incorrect. From what's been said, Dylan's blood was found on one of the boots. Brenner's DNA fingerprints were found on the boots. Not blood, fingerprints. Lance poorly worded that in his video. Okay, just wanted to acknowledge that so you're aware, right? Next one. What's this one? Talking about the very first search, the very first time Lance Kelly Kimber came across Candice Cooley at the beginning, right? So this is like an origins, a backstory, and it's like, oh, okay, this is interesting because I've not heard it before. And basically, Lance said, in quotes, she wanted us to get into the wash with the cadaver dog on the Nevada side, did it with Ty Corbin. And it's like, right, I've never heard of that before. Basing it off how Candice Cooley has spoken about Lance, Kelly, Ty Corbin, it's been very negative. I've never seen Candice Cooley acknowledge or praise what Lance or Ty have done with Ty, even from the beginning. So is that true, Ty Corbin, that you and Lance were searching through a wash on the Nevada side with a cadaver dog and Candice Cooley wanted you to do that? I've never heard of that before. Is it a lie or is it the truth? Just for some reason, I can't imagine Candice Cooley saying to Lance, oh yeah, can you search the wash with that cadaver dog, please? I just can't imagine it. You know what I'm saying? So let me know your thoughts. And last but not least, you had Lance just briefly asking the general public, saying, you know, if you've got any coordinates for us to search, then send them in. And it's like, but you're from the area. Why do you need people online to direct you on where to go when technically you will know more than the people online do? I know that doesn't always apply, kind of like in my situation, but like, it just seemed a bit silly the way it was worded. But no, I can understand, like, if you've got other people that might be from the area nearby for some reason and they communicate online with the likes of these locals, then maybe that's why they come in with the information and say, search here, search there. Or if there was someone with secret information or found leaked information of a place to investigate and then passed it on to Lance to do so, maybe. But yeah, that was just basically it, summarised from that live stream, the recent one. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with most of it, or is it lies? A fair few of those points that were mentioned I've not really heard of before. Like the one about Candice Cooley, the one about the Ellie telling him where to search, that type of stuff. So yeah, there is that. Lance was also saying how he's got video and footage of Ty Corbin bad mouthing Lance Kelly and stuff. Don't know if that's really the case. I mean, there was a video made previous where Lance Kelly tried putting a point forwards in video format that Lance is all about fame and trying to appear in a documentary, that he wants the camera focus on him at all times, but he gets angry and aggressive when his dog doesn't listen to him, you know, and he provided footage of it as well, but maybe some of it was a bit exaggerated, others could have been interpreted differently. I guess it depends what other footage Lance has, but it kind of creates that unstableness that supposedly Lance Kelly does have footage which paints Ty Corbin in a bad, negative way. Lance is holding off from showing it because he doesn't want to. He wants to focus on finding Dylan. But then it's like, you know, is Lance just saying it, or is he twisting stuff at times? I don't know. Like, a little bit unstable. Like, if you think about it, if you've got someone that has held on to video recordings at the time when you were in the presence of that person, but you didn't know they were still recording, it kind of feels like trust issues. It kind of feels a little bit uncomfortable, doesn't it? It's kind of like a situation between Don and Brenner again, one covering their back or just being a little bit cautious in the process of being in the presence of the other person. So like Lance getting these like little video clips and holding on to them just in case he ever needs to use them against Ty Corbin. It seems like foundation structures placed, defense mechanisms activated at a point in time. Seems a little bit deep, kinda. But yeah. Put that aside, the focus of the Backhoe, which has probably been mentioned many times, that word, just that one word in today's video, and it will be mentioned a little bit more soon, right? Yeah, as for the Backhoe, 2 of them, I've never seen 2 in the same place, right, at the same time, okay? Never seen that. I've seen one here and then one there, but from the looks of it and how it was worded, it was the same one. So I don't know where the other one is, if anyone does know. And yeah, even looked behind the grain shed, there was nothing there. So yeah. Well, actually, no, there was one yellow thing, but no one ever really answered my question at the time. So that was a little bit disappointing. But yeah, I guess just a brief little introduction to this Backhoe, at least the only one I can get a hold of visually, right? Just play the video to you and you can let me know. I know some of you would have seen it, but not everyone has. You can let me know though whether that is the one with blood on or not, right? And then we'll have a closer look at it up close and see if we can see anything on the sides or on the ground of it, right? Let's play the video.
But that's Kurt's backhoe that he used to drain the pond, which is over here, I'm assuming.
Okay.
Because I can see the berm. Well, you left it out here fucking 4 weeks after we told we were coming back. Shit's fucking running around your fucking motor, dude.
God, I can't believe they took my tools off of here. That was the FBI did that shit. They're fucking teeth and cocksuckers. Why would they take those? I mean,
so this is like,
holy fuck.
What's his name? Not Lance, but
Robert? No, Ty.
Ty. So he says the way you dig down 20 feet is you dig a hole and then you put your tires in the hole that you dug.
Yeah.
That's why that doesn't work, because you have this
sticking out.
You have this leverage point.
Yeah.
You can't do anything with that.
Yeah.
You have to build a shelf to drop the backhoe down.
Oh.
You can't dig a hole for the fucking tires because you have landing gear that puts you up above that shit. So there's probably nothing we can do to get you home with this, huh?
No. God, I had chains. There was chains on there. I had saws. I could get on this fucking pile of my tools right there. All fucking gone. I hope the FBI took them. I hope we get them back.
No.
Just, you know.
Fucking tweakers. I guarantee the tweakers have been out here the whole fucking time. I'm surprised that 49 or 4890's still fucking there. That's the easiest fucking tractor to get running after it died. So the pond is on Dylan's property.
Yeah.
He drained the pond and then he brought it back here because the
Right, so you saw that video and it seems to be in possession of Kurt, the one that owns it, but I feel like this is probably not the one with the blood on at the time. Maybe the other one was taken away, but I just want to, have a look at it up close. The reason why we're looking at this end is because this is what's described as the bucket. The bucket was the one which had blood on. Now, whereabout was the blood? Was it on the inside of the bucket? Was it on the outside? Was it on the side of it? We zoom on in, you can clearly see that there's mud on it, dried mud. It has been used, or dried dirt. It's been used for scraping, digging, excavating. Was it primarily created because of draining Dillon's pond? Maybe, because that's how it was worded. That's what it was used for originally. Okay? But was it used before that? I don't know. Was it used just after it? Maybe desecration? I'm not sure. But let me know your thoughts. Can you see any blood on it? I can't personally. I know blood can dry. Depends what quantity of blood it was as well. Do we see any on the ground? Not from what I can see. I can't see any blood there. You got to take in mind the time difference, the span of this footage, which is many months old, but still more recent than Dillon's disappearance, right, on the day he went missing. So in that space of time, whether it be weathering, rain, it could have been washed away in between. And yeah, but it's definitely been used, this, right? You look at the ground as well, you can see like track marks. Can you see? Track marks. So it looks like it's been driven in that way from that hand side and then parts up there, left there all this time. Is it still there to this day? I think so. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And tried looking at the photo of it, you can't really see too much, but we'll try a different angle. This one, I guess, isn't called the bucket, but I just wanted to look at it up close anyway, just to see what I could find. Doesn't seem to be too much in there. It mainly looks like a load of trash and rubbish. There's like a bottle, few plastic bottles, maybe some bags, garbage bags, and that's about it. Once again, more dried dirt, mud, soil on the sides and on the rim of it. That's about it, really. Can't really see much else. Do you call this a bucket or do you call it a scoop? I forgot the names of it, right? But this could have been used to shovel dirt across, scrape it from the ground, right? You got all those mounds in the background, but not really supposedly of interest or suspicion on how it's been worded by other people. There you go, got a different angle there. A lot clearer and brighter, this one, which is better. You see the tyre. I mean, looking at it from here, I just can't see any bullet holes. It looks like it would have been right at the bottom for it to deflate right there, maybe. Can't see any holes on the side or on the front. So was it really shot, or did the tyre decompose slightly? I don't know. Was a tool used? I mean, Kurt didn't really say anything in that video clip what I played to you about, they've let the tyre down. No, he was more complaining about the tools being taken away and wondering who caused it. Was it the police? Was it tweakers? And that was it. So not much acknowledgement from the ground level perspective. Anything else? What's that black thing stuck in the ground there? Does anyone know what that is near that vegetation? Is it a hammer? A pole? I don't know. Let me know if you know. Let's look at the inside of the bucket here. It's not exactly wide, but there's a little bit of depth to it. It's got those like little spiky things that come off, like the little claws, if you call it that, the kitty cat claws. Not really. Can't really see much there. Can't really see any blood. I mean, like, I don't know if Gloria and Dillon looked up close at it, if she glanced at it with her eyes or not, or if anyone else did in between. You thought, like, if something was really there, they would have seen it themselves. But, one of those things where maybe it was once there, but it's not anymore because it's washed away with time, possibly. I just want to know your thoughts. Like, my opinion is this is likely the backhoe which didn't have blood on, but the other one has been taken away. but why has it never been talked about in the news or by Candice Cooley, right? Is it because it's really important information? Maybe. But if that was really the case, then why are they able to do an official document acknowledging that video footage was found on Dylan's phone which showed Brenner with blood on his arms cleaning a gun? That seems like very important evidence to me to associate Brenner tied with the disappearance and murder of Dylan, as well as talking about desecration. If you're going to be talking about desecration, that's what's happened, that Dylan was moved, then why not just tie it in with the backhoe as well, that the backhoe was used? Why does the backhoe with the blood on need to be reserved, right? Isn't Brenner on video with blood on him just as sensitive, just as important, right? And yet that was publicly released. So why can't the backhoe be publicly released? Is it because the officials, the LE, don't know of this? Yeah, this is what I mean. Who are these sources? Are they general people, general public? Are they from the area? Are they YouTubers? That's what I want to know. That's what I'm interested in, right? I mean, I know not everything can be revealed public, but I feel like some of the stuff that's been mentioned in recent time, that breaking news that has been revealed public, kind of seems shocking in a way, as worded by Nate Eaton, explosive developments or explosive evidence revealed, right? It's pretty impactful, it's pretty serious, quite important, and yet it was revealed public. So why can't the same be done with the backhoe, which is similar in importance, if not slightly less? Like, if they've talked about some items of evidence that have been taken in and never returned back, like maybe Brenner's trailer, the other trailer, which is owned by Ed Harshberger, because I've not seen it returned back since, and some other things in between. If they found anything there. I mean, as for the phone, the way we heard from it in the past, nothing found on it, nothing odd, nothing out of strangeness, as worded by Candice Cooley. And then look, we just hear about the video being found on it. But it depends if Candice Cooley knew of it herself. If there was a deeper forensic search upon it, then it's probably kept away from Candice Cooley up to a certain point. So I could understand that. Like, does Candice Cooley know anything about the backhoe with blood on, in, around the bucket area? I just want to know your thoughts. Yeah? And also, whilst we're here, we might as well bring it up. Indiana, just giving her opinion, that's all. Nothing too, groundbreaking, so it's okay. But Indiana was saying possibility that Dylan Rounds is buried underneath this backhoe in the ground. I mean, I guess what you could say is that the backhoe wasn't originally parked here because it was at Dylan's property. So, if Dylan was buried the first time, then maybe the second time this was the burial spot, moved here. And with the backhoe being on top of it, with the wheel, the tyre being let down, it's not exactly movable, right? So it just lays there like a worthless object, but it's concealing soil disturbance, maybe. And because it looks as if this backhoe has been used for some kind of soil disturbance, digging up something, which has been reinforced as Dylan's Pond and maybe Lucin Pond, maybe, just maybe, that it could be covered up, that that's all it's been used for, and not like it's been used directly here. Though, looking underneath, and I know it's not exactly that easy, looking underneath, it does look flat, it looks smooth. And what you're going to use to smoothen that out? You'd have to start using other machinery. It just seems a bit too far-fetched. You've got vegetation growing underneath as well, so there's that. But you can't really make much out. I can't see anything too dodgy or suspicious under there to reinforce that that's where Dylan's at, right? And we've got to understand that there was a pattern and a theme emerging where it was just ideas and opinions, which is okay. Maybe back then, though, with other people, it was worse because it was more turning into facts and almost like proof in a way, or like with certainty that that's what happened. You remember in the past at Dylan's farm where a couple of different people were pointing it around saying how, oh yeah, Dylan is buried underneath his own trailer. And then some other people were saying that, oh yeah, Dylan is buried underneath Kurt Wadsworth's trailer. You remember how it was getting that far-fetched? And because so many people were coming out with different locations, Dylan's under this trailer. No, he's under that trailer. He's under that trailer. Then really, none of it can be really true or believable because everybody's thinking completely different. So there's no consistency. There is no stability. There is no certainty. There's no consensus. So what are you supposed to believe? Like, even if it wasn't the case and it didn't turn out to be true, if at least everyone was in agreement and said, this is the spot under that trailer, then maybe you would believe it more, right? Even if it was a false end. But because people can't seem to make their minds up to where Dylan's at, it's all opinions at the end of the day. That's it. Once again, it all comes down to language and wording. So, yeah, let me know if you know about the second backhoe, where it's at. Is it on this land? Is it back at Dylan's? Is it elsewhere? Has it been hidden? Has it been concealed? Has it been taken away by the police? Let me know your thoughts. Okay, so I think we'll leave the video there. As I said, once again, if you got any additional questions, any thoughts, any observations, information, and you want to share it, feel free to leave a comment down below, okay? Might as well. And feel free to check up on my previous videos I've done in recent time. And yeah, I think that's about it. I guess we'll see what happens next, of course, whether it be to do with Brenner's court case or if there's any more evidence coming out. Are we seeing any revivals of misinformation or, you know, bandwagons there? I mean, you might get the odd few channels returning back recently with their own little videos and coverage on it, yeah, but it'll fade out once again because, like, we're getting these bursts of important information, important events, but it's not every single day because obviously in between we've got that silentness by the Rounds family, which does make sense, and the Cooley family too. So you just like sit back and wait what happens next and question things in between. If there is still stuff that needs covering, looking back at to try and make sense of, tie up loose ends, feel free to leave the odd point down below. If there's any more map analysis that need to be done, any stories that need to be covered on the maps to try and make sense of it all, that can be done as well. I know we need to finish off that discussion forum page. There's only like about 4 or 5 pages left. I checked the poll, majority of people wanted to see it complete, so I guess we can. Maybe glance over it a little bit briefer than usual, considering of what we now know of, but you know, with what we now know of, we can make use of and clear up old information, right? If anyone does stumble across it, then they'll know what's what and what isn't, okay? So yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Hope you were able to understand the video. Maybe you've learned something, and yeah, that's it for now. See what happens next. Goodbye and good night for now.